Batman v Superman was one of my favorite movies when it came out all the way back in 2016. I loved every minute of it and I even saw it twice in cinemas. Everyone on the internet was trashing this seemingly amazing movie and I couldn't simply understand why. Keep in mind, I was 14 when I saw this movie, so my juvenile little brain at the time wasn't exactly trying to critically analyze a movie where the freaking Dark Knight was going to be fighting the freaking Man of Steel, okay? I might have been just a little bit too busy shouting at the screen as Wonder Woman was beating up Doomsday to be looking out for logical inconsistencies and flaws in Lex Luthor's plan. But now, your boy is 21 and he would like to think that his critical judgment is just a little bit better despite his inability to maintain a meaningful relationship for any reasonable length of time. I still love this movie and I still enjoy myself each time I rewatch it, but the more I do, the more aggressively all its problems are brought to the center of my attention. So today, I'll be breaking the heart of my 14-year-old self by completely breaking down the many reasons why Batman v Superman fails as a cohesive movie. For a movie called Batman v Superman, a story literally about Batman and Superman going head to head in an all-out physical battle, their actual fight is remarkably short and ends in the dumbest way possible. More on that later in the video. For a movie that is almost 3 hours long, their whole fight starts and ends within 10 minutes. 10 freaking minutes! Trust me, I checked. Not to be that Marvel vs DC guy, but when Marvel did their own hero vs hero event, their fight lasted a whole 15 minutes. Before that, they had a hero vs hero chase sequence and their heroes still fought each other at the end of the movie as well. You can't clickbait us with your movie title then fail to properly deliver on the clickbait. That's content creation 101. What are you guys doing? That would be like naming your movie Multiverse of Madness then taking us to only 2 multiverses. Oh wait, I've never been a big fan of Superman, to be honest. He just seemed too powerful and unrelatable, but even I can admit that Zack Snyder did him very dirty in this movie. Clark Kent is supposed to be this charming, inspiring, shining light of hope. I mean, it literally says so on his chest, my guy. So why exactly is my man just straight up depressed in this movie? Huh? He almost never smiles except sometimes when he's with Lois. He always has the same dry, empty, gloomy look on his face no matter what the situation is, and he literally sucks the life out of every scene he's in. No wonder Batman doesn't trust him. I'm pretty sure if he smiled every once in a while, nobody would believe that he actually killed all those people. Come to think of it, Zack Snyder's Superman might actually be the reason I'm not a big Superman fan in the first place, because I can't tell you how many times I've had to fight the urge to skip all the Superman scenes whenever I rewatch this movie. My guy is so freaking depressing to watch. I've seen enough cartoons, read enough comics and played enough video games to know that Lex Luthor isn't a short, energetic man-child that makes out of context noises every 5 seconds and dresses like an insecure teenager that's still trying to find himself in high school. He's a very masculine looking man that I can assure you wears a suit everywhere he goes, even when he goes to bed. He's supposed to have a presence that commands respect. He possesses very stoic mannerisms and his default state is always calm and collective at all freaking times. Maybe if my man was more level-headed in this movie, his plan would have actually made way more sense. Speaking of which, his plan was to pit them against each other by framing Superman for killing different groups of people and painting Batman as a self-appointed executioner. But what makes zero sense is how the day of the fight was picked. Lex Luthor was manipulating both Batman and Superman, but Batman was not in communication or collaboration with Lex Luthor in any way. So, how did he know to stop on the day that would magically line up with Lex Luthor's own secret plans? And how did Lex plan to kidnap Clark Kent's mom on the exact same day that Batman randomly decided that he was going to fight Superman? How was Batman even so sure that Superman would show up? Because he didn't reach out to Superman in any meaningful way besides setting up his bat signal, which means next to nothing to Superman. And before all of this, he was still busy crying about being framed and hallucinating about his dad on a mountain. It feels like they cut out some parts of this movie that would have made this plan make a whole lot more sense. I'm in the middle of editing this video right now, and now that I think about it, Lex Luthor probably saw the bat signal and knew that Batman was ready to fight Superman, so he then put his plan in motion to kidnap Superman's mom. But that explanation also doesn't really make a lot of sense because the bat signal also means nothing to Lex Luthor. So a better explanation would be that Lex Luthor had been watching Batman for a while and he saw him suit up, so he knew that he was ready to fight Superman, so he put his plan to kidnap Clark Kent's mom in place. That might cover that aspect of the explanation, but it also doesn't cover the fact that Batman literally just suited up and turned on his bat signal without knowing for a fact that it was going to trigger Superman to come and fight him. And he definitely didn't know about Lex Luthor's plan to send Superman to come and fight him. And even if he did, he would have probably just gone and saved her instead of fighting her son, knowing fully well that she was going to be kidnapped and burnt alive. So either way you explain it, Batman still looks mega dumb for setting up a fight and not even being in contact with the person he's planning to fight. And if it takes the average person 7 years to figure out a major plot point in your movie while they're in the middle of making a video essay about it, you might just want to proofread your script before you ever start filming. Just a suggestion. Alright, back to the video. The movie wasted too much time trying to set up the Justice League. They could have used some of that runtime to give us more conflict between Batman and Superman, build up up tension between Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne, flesh out Lex Luthor's plan properly, and maybe even organically humanize Superman in the eyes of Batman, so we wouldn't end up with that horrendous disaster of a scene at the end of their fight. Speaking of which, the Save Martha scene was one of the dumbest things to ever come out of a movie, because Batman is a grown man that believes that Superman is the net negative to the world, because even though he seems to be saving people sometimes, he's a very destructive, unpredictable and careless person that if he wanted to could burn the whole world down. Batman clearly doesn't trust him and doesn't believe that he has good intentions for the world, because in all his years of fighting crime, he hasn't met a single good person that didn't inevitably turn to the dark side. And the fact that Superman is an all-powerful, nearly indestructible superhuman from another planet doesn't exactly help Batman sleep any better at night. So he has come to the conclusion that he needs to kill Superman in order to protect the world from all the bad things that he might do. Not to mention the fact that Batman had what was seemingly a prophetic dream where he saw the future of Superman's evil reign on the world. He has all the right motivations and incentives to put this man in the ground as fast as possible. Now, can someone please explain to me why and how all that motivation, logical reasoning and determination to save the world completely flies out the window the moment Bruce finds out that his mom and Clark's mom share the same name? How exactly does that change the fact that Superman is an all-powerful, untrustworthy danger to society? You can make the argument that the scene humanizes Clark in the eyes of Batman, or that Batman still has dead mommy issues, so he bonds with Clark on an emotional level and imprints his need to protect his mother on Clark's mom instead. But all that is still so dumb, because it just makes the world's greatest detective look like an incompetent child that is easily manipulated by the smallest things, and he's so bad at his detective work that he couldn't find out the name of the mother of the guy he's trying to kill. There are much better ways to humanize Clark Kent in the eyes of Bruce Wayne and still have them fight each other, but to do that would require a complete rewrite of the movie, which I do not feel like doing in this video. The second point about Batman wanting to protect Clark's mom is also dumb, because Superman could have just done that the moment he saw Batman. The whole fight didn't need to happen. All Clark had to do was tell Batman that his mom had been kidnapped, then eventually say her name as he tries to convince Batman to help him. But no, he gets annoyed by a few bullets, then completely forgets the fact that he has a limited deadline to save his mom. Then again, the fight wouldn't have happened, which takes me back to my original point of the whole movie needing a complete rewrite in order to fix any one of the problems, because you can't just fix one of the major problems in this movie without forming more logical inconsistencies. The whole thing needs to be brought down and completely redesigned from scratch on a plot and character level. It won't work any other way, because if you fix the character of Lex Luthor, you need to fix his plan. If you fix the character of Superman, then you need to change his public perception, which will change the way Lex Luthor approaches his plan to destroy him. If you humanize Clark Kent in the eyes of Batman early on in the movie, then you have to create new incentives for them to fight later on. And if you go on like this, you will just end up rewriting the whole thing. But click right here to hear all about the awesomeness that is Ben Affleck's Batman, one of the few good things that came out of this convoluted roller coaster of a movie.